Back to Profi Plays. I'm Profi, and we're going to take our Dungeon Crawl Classics, our 10, a lot of characters, our 10 level 1 characters are going to be getting some kind of adventure. So remember, I had said before that I decided they were going to form an Adventurers Guild for their town. Let me see what's I always forget the name of that town. The town of I know it's like Rose Lake or yeah, it's Rose Lake. Haha. Wait. So the Rose Lake Adventurers are going to be going into some new dungeon for some reason. Right. So that's what we need to figure out. Right. So my hope with this video is really just to kind of do some of the setup. I don't think I'm actually going to take them into any like combat encounters or something like that. Actually, if we hit a combat encounter, I'm going to consider that to be kind of the end of the session, and then we'll look at the combat encounter for the next video. Okay. All right. So I'm going to use, as I said before, the one-page solo engine here, and they have instructions here for how to play, including uh, a step-by-step process, right? So you create one or more characters using your chosen game system, already done. Right? And then we roll a plot hook. And they have here a list of plot hooks. It's a D6. It's actually kind of a set of three D6 tables that we're going to use. So here we go. So I'm going to clear my dice off to the side here. I need three D6 rolls. So I'm just going to roll three D6s, and then I'll read them from left to right. All right, so 2, 2, 5. All right, so 2, 2, 5 tells me, so first our objective is to learn the truth. Truth about what? I don't know. We have to learn the truth. Adversaries, 2, it's some kind of outlaws. Right? And then finally, our reward is going to be to advance a plot arc. Okay. At this point, we don't have very many plot arcs in play, right? So what I did since the last video, I did fill out my adventure list using the Mythic GM emulator style. Right? And at this point, I only have two threads. That is, first we have the cult that wants to summon a demon, and then secondly, well, I just have what I'm calling character goals. And then if I roll that, then I'm going to roll from the character list. I also have my character list, which includes all 10 of the PCs, as well as we have two kind of NPC characters. One is the unnamed Cleric, which I will actually come to the name for at some point. Probably just rolling on a table, to be perfectly honest. And then, secondly, this cult, the one that wants to summon that demon. Right, so let's go ahead and I think I'm going to use that. So, to figure out which plot arc we're going to advance. Right, so for this first thing I need to do, I'm going to roll on the threads list. So, the threads list, I roll a d10. Right, so right now, what exactly you roll kind of depends on how many threads you have. I only have two threads, right? So I'm going to roll the d10. Got an 8. So the 8 tells me that is not filled in, so it says choose. Well, at this point, I really kind of want to advance some character goals because remember, what we have right now, we have a bunch of warriors and thieves and clerics that don't have any kind of armor. Their weapons are real weak, right? So I think maybe something that would move them forward, or the wizards, right? Always finding a new spell is a good thing, right? So I think that I want to advance character goals. So because I've decided to choose that, I'm actually going to add it to threads list a second time. That is one thing that I love about the new guidelines for using the Mythic Game Master emulator is that they suggest that if you roll something, uh, if you want to, it's always your choice, right? You can add it to the list again up to 3 times total, right? That way you can have things kind of emerge as being more important. So which character are we going to do? So at this point, I need to roll a d10, and I do have enough characters on my list that I need to roll a d6 to accompany it. Right, so the d6 tells me which sublist to look at. I'm looking at the third sublist, which would capture 5 and 6, and then number 2, that'd be the unnamed cleric, right? So we are going to try to advance the plot arc, specifically the unnamed cleric's goals. Okay. So let's go ahead and get that cleric a name. So I have Dungeon Crawl Classics here, and one of their um, appendices is a list of names. Right. So here's what I'm imagining is happening. Right. So there, okay. So we have to learn the truth, and outlaws are going to be our adversaries. And outlaws, sensibly, given the choices that we have on the one-page solo engine, the outlaws could sensibly be the cult. And the choices are powerful organization, outlaws, guardians, local inhabitants, an enemy, horde, or force, and a new or recurring villain. Right, so outlaws could possibly be a cult, maybe. Right, so let's get a name now for this unnamed cleric. Right, so I have here a table of names. It looks like it's a D100 table. So this cleric, there's one of the lists actually for wizards and clerics. All right, and it's O3. Right, so his name's Caliph. Right. So Caliph, the cleric. Although I want to give him a more interesting title, there's also a list of titles, which I kind of love that. So here, so it's Caliph, the, and I'm going to roll on the title list. 79. Oh, Reverend. Okay, so it's Reverend Caliph. All right. So that is that. So we're trying to advance his goals. And we don't know a whole lot about him. So it might be good for us to get some sense of what his motivations are. Right. So it turns out one page solo engine has a goal table that you can read off of. So this one we draw a card. So what is the goal here? Do you want to include the jokers or not? Yes. Okay. Shaking my cards here. And then the first card is what I'm going to use. There it is, the King of Clubs. Right, so the king indicates here on this table for goals, the goal is to create, right? So it's a creative goal, and the club indicates that it's something physical, right? So the goal that we're trying to achieve here is creating something physical. Now, I think now, given that we're dealing with a cleric here, what he really wants to do, right? So his goal is okay. So the unnamed cleric is now Caliph. So what he wants to do, he wants to create, I think, some kind of magical artifact of some kind, right? So something that say be really good against the undead. That makes perfect sense. It's kind of cliche. So what? Right. So it wants to create a. I mean, a sword sounds. No, I think. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is a sword, but I feel like that's too. I don't know. That's just too cliche for me. It's a little bit too cliche. Right. So I think instead, what I'm going to do is. Oh, well, here's something we can do. I can roll on, right? Not roll. I can draw another card, right? So one of the options for a table is a detail focus of what kind of thing is it. So it tells us something about this. So let's go ahead and draw another card. Right, so it's the six of clubs. So it's something mundane and mystical. Mystical is what the spade tells us. So it's something that we wouldn't necessarily think much of except that it has mystical properties to it. So what is a really mundane thing? Ah, okay, got it. I can pull out the equipment list. The equipment list has just really mundane stuff in it, right? So I think that seems like a reasonable way to generate this. If I can actually find, oh, there it is. And it's already designed to be rolled on, right? So I roll a d24, right? So I'm going to roll a 6 and a 12. 6 is even. Then I will add 12 to the 12's roll. If it's odd, then I'll just read the 12's roll as is. Okay, so it's odd, so it's just number 7. So we want to create what's a flask, an empty flask. Okay. Well, I mean, that makes some degree of sense. So what we want to do is create a flask. I'm going to say that turns any water placed into it. I want to. I'm debating two things. One is that this is like super mundane, like it's a water to wine kind of thing. I just don't. I just want to drink water. The other would be that this is something that's supposed to have some kind of perhaps battle usage, that kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and roll on the oracle here, right? So there, the die oracle here, the way that works is you roll 2d6, right? So here we go. All right, so spots will be my first die, number will be my second. And so the simple question, just a yes or no question, that is it designed to turn water to wine? You say it's even odds, so we roll that. Six would be a yes. Anything four or higher is a yes with even odds. And then I got a one here on the modifier die. So it's yes, but. So there's a but to this. Um, so it is. So is it going to change water to wine? Yes, but. So I want to know some of the details about that. So detail focus, something exotic and technical, mental operations, something like that. Right. Okay. So it's not just that it changes it to wine. Rather, this wine provides you with some, let's say, an intelligence bonus or something like that. So that's what it is. Okay. So it is. So water. So it turns any water placed into it into a wine, which I like the irony of that wine that gives you an intelligence bonus because no, that way it don't normally works. So turn into wine that provides an int bonus. That seems like a reasonable thing to do. Sure. All right, so that's what their goal is now. Now, the problem, of course, is that so I'm imagining the scene here. Caliph is visiting again to Rose Lake, where we know that the Adventurers of Roselake have formed this Adventurers Guild, and he is talking with them about right his goal here. And he wants to create this mystical artifact. The only problem is that while he has some record that such a thing has happened in the past, right, he doesn't know how to do this. So he needs, effectively, he needs the formula. Now, he believes that he has some idea of where the formula is located, but he doesn't believe that he himself, right, is capable of getting it. Right. So he's sending these adventurers off, right, to get this formula for him. Right? So that's the idea. So so that is what we're gonna do. So learn the truths for specifically finding the formula, right, for the flask. That's it. Now I'm going to assume this formula is in a dungeon somewhere. Formula, and it feels like a kind of thing that a wizard probably would have had. So I'm thinking that that's probably what we're going to be thinking about here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out ECC again. Um, because one of the things that I thought that it had in here, though I've not been able to find this table, was a table for naming, not just names, but naming like locations. So the problem is I've not been able to find it. So I might just be misremembering it, to be perfectly honest. Okay, I'm just going to flip through a little bit um, the judge section just to see if I can find it right now. If I can find the judges section. Okay, there it is. So it's judges rules. Nope, I'm not really finding it there. All right, well, that's all right. Okay, so this is going to be I guess you just need to come up with a name for it. The name of the wizard. That'd be a good idea. So the wizard that had this formula, whose dungeon we were going to be going into, um, his name was 79. So as a wizard, his name, oh, Thulsa. Thulsa, that sounds more feminine, so I think her name. And so we're going to, it might be a tomb, it might be a vault, I'm not sure. I did a vault last time, so I'm just going to put the name Thulsa. And what was Thulsa's title? 53, the Mentalist. Right, so Thulsa the Mentalist is who we are going to be. I guess that is who it was that had this formula. So it makes perfect sense. A mentalist would probably want something that could increase their intelligence. Also, somebody who's a wizard would naturally want this as well. So I think that makes sense. So we're going to go with that. Now, in terms of what type of location it is, here's another thing we can do. And so, again, what kind of thing is it? I'm going to go ahead and draw another card. This is the King of Spades. The King of Spades suggests it is dignified and mystical, right? So it is a dignified location. So to me, that tells us that it is maybe like a mansion or a tower or something like that, right? So this would be a dwelling. This is not like a cave. That's not what we're talking about. It's something dignified and clearly mystical as well, right? So and it could also be something like a temple sort of location, although we're dealing with a wizard, not a cleric here. So a wizard's tower seems like the most obvious thing. So it's the tower of Thulsa the Mentalist, right? And that also gives me some sense then of how this dungeon is going to be structured, and that it's probably going to be we enter in on say ground level, and then it's going to be vertical, right? So we're going to be going up steps or down steps, with probably the rooms not being particularly huge, I suspect. All right. So the Tower of Thulsa the Mentalist. Then one more thing that I want to find out is that is this going to take some kind of treacherous journey, right, or is this something that's relatively close? So just is this going to take a treacherous journey? And let's pull out the sixes. Again, I'm going to use spots for yes or no, and then numbers for the mod. Okay. So giving even odds, so is this something we're gonna have to take a dangerous journey? The answer is no, but. So what's the but here? Okay, so what is it that's going to be the complication potentially? So let's see if we can find some kind of complication. This again, we'll use the same oracle. Lots of base cards. But there's something exotic and social, right? So I think that here, because I'm used to thinking of these things as being abandoned, maybe it's not, right? So that's what the social part tells me. So this is actually going to be, oh, well, Thulsa the Mentalist, they had followers or something like that. So there's a group of magic users of some kind, or at least people who have a history here of magic use in the past. It currently occupies this tower. Right, so while it may not be a dangerous journey to get there, the tower is actually occupied at the moment, which means we're probably going to have to sneak in, or we're going to fight our way through a bunch of wizards. So let me make some notes here. The Tower of Thulsa the Mentalist is currently occupied by a group of magic users. You can put a question mark next to that because I'm not sure that they're magic users, but they're at least descended from. I'm gonna just say magic users' descendants, saying they were followers of Thulsa. All right, so there we go. Now, one more question that I would like to ask um, of Caliph, and that is, so we know that he at least believes, that the formula for this is going to be here in this tower. So the question is, um, does he know like what form it's going to take? Like, is this in a book, right? For example. So is this in a book? Would be a simple question. Okay, so the answer is yes, with no modification. This only provides modification on a one or a six. Okay, so it is in a book. Right, so does he know the title of the book? Otherwise, we might have some like time that we're gonna have to spend just looking through books. The answer is a very definite no. No, he does not know the title of the book, and right. So this formula is in a book. The problem, of course, is that he doesn't know the title of the book, right? And right. Oh, right, is the library written in some kind of code or something like that? Well, that'd be really nasty. Yeah, let's do it. All right. So he does not know the title. So we know that the formula is in a book. In a book, title unknown, and the library is written in a different language. And I'm actually going to roll on the language table from BCC because it makes sense to do that, right? And we might get lucky. It might be a language that somebody in my party knows. Probably won't get lucky because that's the way that things tend to work. So this was a wizard, right? So wizards know lots of languages. So there's basically like virtually any language with the exception of ferret, something the wizard may have possibly known and decided to use. All right, so let's go ahead and roll. Okay, I got 71. Is written in 71 on the wizard table indicates celestial or like angelic. So it was written in celestial. I know off the top of my head, nobody in our party knows celestial. Nobody does. Um, yeah, just to double check this. So languages that are actually known to my party, we have William the Evoker is one of our wizards. Oh, this is great. So Jolly the Evoker doesn't know any languages apart from Common. William the Evoker, on the other hand, is significantly more intelligent. So they know Gnoll, Halfling, Goblin, Wolf, Kobold, and Minotaur. Vilbo the Wanderer knows Halfling and Elf. Helmet doesn't know any other languages apart from Common Weston. Similarly, Igor, similarly. Okay, Phineas knows Bugbear and Thieves' Cant. Marv knows Thieves' Cant as well. And that's it. I mean, Vord and Luther, neither of them have any languages. Are three common. So that's going to make this a challenge. We won't know the language of whatever we find written. So that's going to make this a little bit more challenging as well. All right. So I think that here we're going to wrap up the conversation. We get the location information from Caliph. He, of course, happily shares this with us, and we head on our way. So I think that is actually a good place to pause, and I think that's it. So next time we will actually go into the Tower of Thulsa, the Mentalist, and find what there is to find. As for now, it's Profi. signing off.